My date said, I only date guys over 6 feet. I stood up, 5 feet 11 inches, and said, I only date girls under 120 pounds. She threw water on me. I humiliated her in front of her all friends. Now she is fuming. All right, Reddit. This happened about 3 months ago, and my sister keeps telling me I need to post it here, because apparently it's peak petty revenge material. So here we are. Fair warning, this gets satisfying. I'm 28, work in logistics coordination for a distribution company here in Pennsylvania. Nothing glamorous, but it pays well, and I've got my own place, a reliable car, and zero debt. My job basically involves making sure products get from point A to point B without everything falling apart. It's problem solving mixed with spreadsheets, and I'm decent at it. Been with the same company since I graduated. Worked my way up from entry level to managing my own accounts. After college, I dated around a bit, had a couple serious relationships that didn't work out for various reasons. One girl moved across the country for grad school, and neither of us wanted long distance. Another one decided she wanted to focus on her career and being single. Normal breakup stuff that happens when you're in your 20s and nobody really knows what they want yet. Spent the last year or so just focusing on myself, hit the gym regularly, picked up woodworking as a hobby, actually read books instead of just buying them, basically living that stable bachelor life where my apartment is clean and I meal prep on Sundays like a functional adult. I'm not rich, but I'm comfortable. Got a decent apartment in a safe neighborhood, drive a paid-off Honda that gets me where I need to go, have a savings account that would make my parents proud. The kind of life that seems boring when you describe it, but actually feels pretty good when you're living it. No drama, no debt, no disasters, just steady and stable. The thing about being 5 feet 11 inches is you're technically above average height, but online dating it might as well be a death sentence. Every dating app profile has some variation of must be over 6 feet, or if you're not 6 feet 2, don't bother. I've literally been exactly 1 inch away from qualifying for dates with women who probably couldn't tell the difference if I wore boots anyway. The average height for American men is 5 feet 9 inches, which makes me 2 inches above average. But apparently that's meaningless when social media has decided 6 feet is the minimum. I've done the experiment. Created 2 identical dating profiles. Same photos, same bio, everything the same, except on one I listed my height as 6 feet 0 inches, and on the other as 5 feet 11 inches. The 6-foot profile got triple the matches. Same person, same everything, just 1 inch difference on a screen. That's when I realized this whole height thing had nothing to do with actual compatibility and everything to do with arbitrary numbers that sounded good. For context, I'm in decent shape. Not bodybuilder jacked, but I run 4 times a week and actually use the gym membership I pay for. Can bench my body weight, do actual pull-ups without kipping like some kind of fish out of water, have visible muscle definition when I'm not wearing a shirt, dress well, have good hygiene, own furniture that matches, read actual books, can hold a conversation about topics beyond sports and video games, remember birthdays and respond to texts in a reasonable time frame. The whole responsible adult package that should theoretically make someone dateable. But apparently none of that matters if you're not clearing some arbitrary height requirement that got decided by a committee of women who probably can't even accurately judge height without a measuring tape. I've had first dates where women have actually asked me to stand up so they could check if I was lying about my height. One girl literally pulled out her phone and asked me to stand against a wall so she could verify I was actually 5 feet 11 inches like my profile said. Another spent the entire dinner asking if I'd ever considered wearing shoe lifts. Not joking. Brought it up 6 separate times. Told me about how common it was, how nobody would know, how it would really help my confidence. Had another one ask if I'd put my real height on my profile or round it up like guys usually do. When I confirmed I actually am 5 feet 11 inches, she seemed disappointed, like she was hoping to catch me in a lie. Then asked whether I measured myself recently or was going off old information from high school. The absolute worst was a woman who seemed great via text, showed up to our date, immediately asked my height, and when I said 5 feet 11 inches, she literally said, "Oh, I thought you'd be taller," and left. Just turned around and walked out of the restaurant before we even sat down. I'd already put my name in for a table. After 6 months of this nonsense, I basically gave up on the apps. Figured I'd meet someone organically or just stay single. Either option seemed better than subjecting myself to more height interrogations from women who list their own height as 5 feet 4 inches, but still demand a guy who can dunk a basketball without jumping. Enter late September. My buddy Brian from work was getting married, and his fiancée Kelly decided to play matchmaker. She'd been bugging me for weeks about meeting her friend Jessica. According to Kelly, Jessica was smart, funny, had a good job in hospital administration, and was super cute. The kind of setup that usually ends in awkward disaster. But Kelly was persistent. Started casually at first. Kelly mentioned Jessica during a work happy hour. Said she thought we'd get along, that Jessica was tired of the dating scene, that we had similar values. I gave the standard, yeah, maybe sometime response that usually makes people drop it. Kelly did not drop it. For 2 weeks straight, she kept bringing it up, showing me Jessica's social media in the break room like a sales pitch. Professional headshots, travel photos, charity event pictures, whole aesthetic very put together. Kelly kept saying how perfect we'd be together, how I needed to give dating another shot. Finally, I caved and agreed to one coffee date. Low stakes, public place, easy exit if needed. Kelly was thrilled and immediately created a group chat with me, her, and Jessica. The texting with Jessica started normal enough. She seemed friendly, asked about my job, mentioned she worked in hospital administration. We talked about the wedding, shared some jokes, basic getting to know you stuff. She suggested this trendy coffee shop downtown for Saturday afternoon. I agreed. Friday night, Kelly texted me. Jessica's really excited about tomorrow. Just be yourself. You guys are going to hit it off. Saturday comes and I show up right on time. The coffee shop is one of those industrial chic places with exposed brick walls and overpriced lattes. I grab a table near the window and wait. Jessica shows up about 10 minutes late wearing designer everything. Huge sunglasses, expensive purse, boots that look brand new. She walks up, takes off her sunglasses, and just looks at me. Full elevator scan from shoes to face. Hey, I say, standing up. Jessica, right? I'm Jake. She doesn't sit down, just stands there staring at me. How tall are you? Not nice to meet you. Just straight to the height question. 5'11", I answer, keeping my voice level. She does this head tilt thing, clearly disappointed. Kelly said you were tall. I'm taller than average. Is there a problem? Yeah, but like, actual tall or just taller than average? She still hasn't sat down. I'm 5 feet 11 inches. That's the height I am. Were you expecting someone taller? I don't know. Kelly made it sound like you were really tall. I usually only date guys who are at least 6 feet. There it is. The arbitrary line. Right, I say, sitting back down. Well, I'm 1 inch shorter than your requirements, so this should be interesting. She finally sits but keeps her jacket on. Phone already on the table. It's not personal, it's just a preference. Like, I wear heels a lot and I don't want to be taller than my date. What height heels are we talking about? Like, 4 inches usually. So with 4-inch heels, you'd be 5'8". I'd still be 3 inches taller than you. Yeah, but barely. Jessica, I'm 5 feet 11 inches. That's not changing. If that's a deal breaker for you, we can just call this now and save us both the time. She waves her hand dismissively. I mean, we're already here. Might as well get coffee. The next 20 minutes are painful. She orders some complicated drink with 3 modifications that costs $8. I order regular coffee. She spends the entire time on her phone, barely looking up. I'm giving one-word answers at this point, already mentally checked out. This whole thing was a waste of clean jeans. Then she hits me with, so Kelly mentioned you work in logistics? That's like warehouse stuff? Distribution coordination, I correct. I manage supply chain operations for our regional center. Oh, she says it like I just told her I collect trash. That sounds stable. The way she says stable makes it clear she means boring. Whatever. I'm about 30 seconds from faking an emergency and leaving. But then her friends show up. 3 women in their late 20s, all dressed like they're about to hit a club at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. They spot Jessica and come over squealing like they haven't seen each other in years when they probably hung out yesterday. Oh my God, Jess, is this him? One of them asks, looking at me like I'm a zoo exhibit. Yeah, this is Jake, Jessica says, her tone making it very clear this date is not going well. They all do the same elevator scan Jessica did. I can literally see them judging my height, my outfit, my entire existence. He's cute, one of them says in that voice women use when they're being polite but don't mean it. Wait, stand up for a second, another one says to me. I look at her. Excuse me? Just stand up real quick, I want to see something. Jessica's smirking. Her friends are all giggling. This is apparently hilarious to them. Why? I ask, staying seated. We just want to see how tall you actually are. Jessica said you might be lying about your height. First of all, I never told Jessica my height was 6 feet. Second, why is my height suddenly a group activity? I'm 5 feet 11, I say clearly. That's the height I've been my entire adult life. I'm not standing up so you can measure me like I'm at a doctor's appointment. Oh, come on, don't be sensitive, one of them says. We're just having fun. Yeah, Jessica adds. If you're really 5 feet 11 inches, then what's the big deal? The whole table is staring at me now. Other people in the coffee shop are starting to look over. This is officially a scene. I stand up. Not because I care about proving anything to these women, but because I'm about to leave anyway, and I'm done with this entire situation. There, I say, standing at my full height. 5 feet 11 inches. Satisfied? They all exchange looks. One of them whispers something to Jessica. They're literally talking about me right in front of me like I can't hear them. See? I don't know, Jessica says loudly, clearly performing for her friends now. You might be 5 feet 11 inches, but that's still not 6 feet. I really only date guys who are over 6 feet. It's just a rule I have. And this is the moment. This is where something in me just snaps. Not in an angry way, not in a losing my cool way, but in a crystal clear, perfectly calm way where I realize I have absolutely nothing to lose here, and every reason to match her energy exactly. That's fair, I say, my voice completely even. I have standards too. I only date girls who weigh under 120 pounds. The table goes silent. Jessica's face does this thing where she's clearly processing what I just said and trying to figure out if I'm serious. Excuse me, she finally asks. You have a height requirement? I have a weight requirement. Seems fair, right? I mean, you can control your weight, but I can't control my height. So technically, your standard is more unfair than mine. Her friends' mouths are literally hanging open. That's completely different, Jessica sputters. How? I ask, genuinely curious about her logic here. You're allowed to have a physical preference that eliminates people based on something they can't change. But I'm not allowed to have a physical preference based on something people can change? Explain the math on that. Weight is, you can't just ask someone their weight, but you can ask someone their height and measure them and discuss whether they meet your requirements in front of their face? One of her friends tries to jump in. Okay, but height and weight aren't the same thing at all. You're right, I interrupt. Height is genetic and unchangeable. Weight is largely controllable through diet and exercise. So logically, having a weight preference is actually more reasonable than having a height preference. Thanks for proving my point. Jessica's face is turning red. You're being incredibly rude right now. I'm matching your energy, I say. You spent this entire date making it clear I don't meet your height requirement. I'm just letting you know you don't meet my weight requirement. We're both being honest about our standards. This is not the same thing, she practically shouts. People are definitely staring now. The barista has stopped making drinks to watch this unfold. So let me get this straight, I continue, because apparently I've decided to fully commit to this. You can judge me for being 1 inch shorter than your arbitrary requirement, but I can't have any physical standards at all without being rude. That's some interesting logic. I never said I was judging you. You literally asked me to stand up so your friends could verify my height. You told me to my face that you only date guys over 6 feet. You said my job sounds stable like it was an insult. But sure, you weren't judging me at all. Her friends are trying to do damage control now. One of them is telling Jessica to just leave. Another is saying I'm being aggressive. The third one is filming this on her phone, which is probably going to be my villain origin story on someone's social media. Jessica stands up, grabs her purse, and picks up her water glass. I see it happening in slow motion. She's going to throw water on me. This is actually happening. The water hits me square in the chest. It's cold. My shirt is soaked. She's standing there looking triumphant, like she just won the argument. You're a jerk, she yells. I look down at my drenched shirt, then back up at her. And you're probably over 120 pounds, so I guess we both dodged a bullet here. She makes this sound that's somewhere between a shriek and a gasp. Her friends are pulling her toward the door. The entire coffee shop is silent except for the sound of them speed walking out. I stand there dripping water on the hardwood floor, and the weirdest thing happens. Someone starts slow clapping, then someone else joins in. Within 5 seconds, half the coffee shop is applauding. A guy at the table next to me gives me a fist bump. The barista mouths, "That was amazing," at me. I grab some napkins and start drying off my shirt. My phone buzzes. It's Kelly. What did you do? Jessica is blowing up my phone saying you attacked her. I text back. She asked about my height. I asked about her weight. She threw water on me. That's what happened. Kelly calls immediately. I answer. Jake, what the actual heck happened? She sounds somewhere between concerned and furious. I explain the whole thing. The height interrogation, the friends showing up, being asked to stand so they could measure me, the water throwing, all of it. Kelly is quiet for a second. Then, she asked you to stand up so her friends could check your height? Yup. And then threw water on you? Got it on camera if you want proof. The girl who was filming actually sent me the video. Said I was a legend and Jessica deserved it. Kelly sighs. Okay, that's ridiculous, and I'm sorry. But did you really tell her you only date girls under 120 pounds? She told me she only dates guys over 6 feet. I matched her energy. If she can have arbitrary physical requirements, so can I. Jake, that's not the same. Kelly, please explain to me how it's different. She can reject me for being 1 inch shorter than her preference, but I can't have any standards about weight? Either we both get to have preferences or neither of us do. She's quiet again. When you put it like that? Exactly. Still, you could have just left. I was about to. Then her friends showed up and turned it into a group roast session. I'm not just going to sit there and be disrespected for entertainment. Kelly sighs again. Fair enough. Jessica's texting me all this stuff about you being horrible and abusive. I'm going to tell her what you told me and see what she says. Cool. I'm going home to change my shirt. I leave the coffee shop to another small round of applause. One older woman tells me I handled that perfectly. A younger guy asks if I'm single because his sister would love me. This is the weirdest day of my life. Get home, change clothes, and figure that's the end of it. Weird story to tell at parties. Lesson learned about blind dates. Then Monday happens. I get to work and Brian immediately corners me in the parking lot before I can even get to the building. Dude, what did you do to Kelly's friend? He asks, looking somewhere between amused and concerned. She didn't tell you? She told me her version. Kelly's saying Jessica came home crying about how you verbally attacked her and humiliated her in public. But knowing you, there's definitely another side to this story. So, what actually happened? I explain the whole thing again from start to finish. The height interrogation, the friends showing up and turning it into a group roast session, being asked to stand for measurement purposes, the water throwing, all of it. Brian's trying really hard not to laugh and failing miserably. Bro, he says when I finish. Jessica is having a complete meltdown. Like full-scale crisis mode. Kelly showed me some of the messages she's been sending their friend group and it's genuinely unhinged. What's she saying? Brian pulls out his phone and scrolls through screenshots Kelly sent him. That you attacked her appearance unprovoked. That you're bitter about being short and took it out on her. That you have serious anger management issues and she's lucky she got out of there safely. That you specifically targeted her weight because you knew it would hurt her. That the whole thing was premeditated because you clearly have issues with women. I stare at him. I'm 5 feet 11 inches, not short. And she literally spent 20 minutes telling me I wasn't tall enough for her before her friends showed up and made it worse. How is responding with her own logic attacking her unprovoked? Oh, I know. But here's the best part. Apparently one of her friends who was actually there, she's telling a completely different story than Jessica is. This gets my attention. Which friend? The one who filmed it. Amanda something. She's apparently been in the group chat defending you, saying Jessica absolutely deserved what she got, and that you were actually pretty restrained considering how rude they all were. Turns out Amanda, the girl who filmed everything, felt genuinely bad about how Jessica and the other friends acted. She'd apparently been uncomfortable with the whole height-checking thing, but went along with it because peer pressure. After seeing how the situation escalated and watching Jessica play victim in the group chat, Amanda decided to set the record straight. She posted the video Sunday night on her social media with a caption that basically said, "Watch this girl spend 20 minutes telling a guy he's not tall enough for her. Demand he stand up so her friends can measure him like he's at a doctor's appointment. Then throw water on him when he uses her exact logic about weight requirements. Then watch her play victim." The video quality was good. You could hear everything clearly. Jessica asking about my height, her friends giggling and asking me to stand, the whole weight comment exchange, the water throwing, the applause afterwards. It was all there in crystal clear HD. By Monday morning, the video had a few hundred views and about 50 comments. By Monday afternoon, it was in the thousands. By Monday night, it had been shared to relationship advice pages, debate forums, local community groups. The comments were split but leaning heavily in my favor. Women were chiming in saying they never realized how rude the height requirement thing was until they saw it from this perspective. Guys were sharing their own stories about being rejected for height. Some people thought I went too far with the weight comment. Others thought it was perfectly fair turnabout. But the overwhelming consensus was that Jessica started it, escalated it with her friends, and got exactly what she was asking for. Tuesday morning, the video jumped from thousands to tens of thousands of views. Someone from a men's issues page shared it. Then a dating discourse account picked it up. Then some local news blog wrote an article about it titled, "Local Coffee Shop Date Goes Viral After Height versus Weight Debate." My phone was blowing up with notifications. People were tagging me in comments. Friends from high school were messaging me asking if it was really me in the video. My cousin sent it to our family group chat asking if I was okay. My mom called me concerned that I was involved in some kind of internet situation. By Tuesday afternoon, Jessica had deleted all her social media accounts. Her Facebook, Instagram, everything gone. According to Kelly, Jessica was absolutely spiraling, having panic attacks about the video, convinced her reputation was ruined forever, demanding that Amanda take the video down and that I make some kind of statement saying it was all a misunderstanding. Kelly forwarded me some of the messages from Jessica. They were something else. He deliberately provoked me so I'd react badly and he could film it and make me look terrible. Nobody provoked anybody. Also, I didn't film anything. Her friend did. He probably lied about his height to trap me into this situation. I never lied. I said 5 feet 11 inches in my profile, and I am 5 feet 11 inches. The only person who had an issue with that was her. This is harassment, and I'm considering getting legal help. Good luck with that. Everything that happened was in public with witnesses. The only reason everyone is taking his side is because society hates women who have standards and know what they want. Society hates hypocrites who can't handle having their own logic applied to them. Someone needs to make him delete this video and apologize. Again, I didn't post the video. And apologize for what exactly? Matching your energy? The friend group was apparently tearing itself apart over this. Some of them thought Jessica was completely in the wrong and got what she deserved. Others thought I was cruel for bringing up weight, even though Jessica spent the entire date and friend visit discussing my height. They were all arguing with each other in the group chat about double standards, body positivity, dating preferences, the whole thing. Kelly called me Tuesday night sounding exhausted. Jessica wants to know if you can ask people to stop commenting on the video. I didn't post the video. I have no control over what thousands of strangers decide to comment. Also, she threw water on me in public after insulting me for 20 minutes straight. She made her choices. She's really upset. People from high school are commenting. Her coworkers have seen it. She's mortified. Then maybe she shouldn't have made a public scene by throwing water on someone in a crowded coffee shop. Actions have consequences. Can you at least make a statement saying it was all a misunderstanding? It wasn't a misunderstanding. She asked about my height. I asked about her weight. She threw water on me. Those are the facts. I'm not lying to protect someone who publicly disrespected me. Jake, Kelly, I like you. You're good people. But I'm not taking the fall for someone else's bad behavior just because she's embarrassed that everyone saw her true colors. Jessica made very deliberate choices about how to treat me. She can live with the consequences of those choices. Kelly went quiet for a moment. Then, Brian said basically the same thing. He thinks I should stop defending her and that she brought this on herself. Brian's right. I know. I just feel bad because I set you guys up. You didn't know she'd act like that. Not your fault. Still, I'm sorry. I thought she was better than this. People show you who they are. Believe them the first time. Kelly texted me Tuesday afternoon. Jessica wants to know if you'll ask people to stop commenting on the video. I text back. I didn't post the video. I have no control over what people comment. Also, she threw water on me in public after insulting me for 20 minutes. She made her bed. Kelly. She's really upset. Her friends are turning on her. People are calling her shallow. Me. She is shallow. She literally told me to my face that I wasn't tall enough for her. Actions have consequences. Kelly. Can you at least make a statement or something saying it was all a misunderstanding? Me. It wasn't a misunderstanding. She asked about my height. I asked about her weight. She threw water on me. Those are facts. I'm not lying to protect her reputation. Kelly goes quiet for a while. Then, Brian says you're right, and I should stop defending her. I'm sorry I set you up with someone like that. Me. Not your fault. You didn't know she'd act like that. Wednesday, the video has spread beyond our local area. Some relationship advice pages picked it up. Debate pages are discussing whether height requirements are the same as weight requirements. I'm apparently a controversial figure in the online dating discourse now. My phone is getting tagged in posts I've never seen before. People are DMing me asking if I'm single. One girl sent me a message that just said, 5'11 is perfect height BTW, with a winky face. Jessica apparently deleted her social media accounts by Thursday. According to Kelly, she's furious that some random guy she went on one date with ruined her reputation. She's telling people I orchestrated the whole thing to make her look bad. Kelly forwarded me some of the messages Jessica sent to their friend group. They're wild. He deliberately provoked me so I'd react and he could film it. I didn't film anything. Her friend did. He probably lied about his height to trap me. I never lied. I said 5 feet 11 inches, and I am 5 feet 11 inches. This is harassment, and I'm considering legal action. Good luck with that. Everyone is taking his side because society hates women who have standards. Society hates hypocrites who can't handle their own logic being used against them. The friend group apparently had a massive argument about it. Some of them think Jessica was wrong and got what she deserved. Others think I was cruel for bringing up weight. They're all fighting with each other now. Kelly tells me two of Jessica's friends apologized to her for going along with the height-checking thing. They said they didn't realize how rude it was until they saw it from an outside perspective on video. By Friday, the coffee shop incident is the talk of our entire social circle. People I haven't spoken to in months are reaching out asking if it really happened. Brian's bachelor party group chat is nothing but memes about height requirements now. Saturday, I run into one of Jessica's friends at the grocery store. Not one of the ones from the coffee shop. A different friend who apparently heard about everything. She stops me in the produce section. Are you Jake? Depends who's asking. I'm Rachel. I know Jessica through work. I just wanted to say I saw the video and I think what you did was perfect. This is unexpected. Thanks, I guess. No, seriously. Jessica has been doing this to guys for years. She's incredibly shallow and mean about it, but whenever anyone calls her out, she plays victim. It's about time someone didn't just take it. She seems pretty upset about it. She's upset because for once there were consequences. Usually guys just slink away and she gets to feel superior. You didn't do that, and now she's big mad about it. Rachel proceeds to tell me stories about Jessica's dating history that make the coffee shop incident seem tame. Apparently, she's made guys leave mid-date because they weren't tall enough. She's asked men to take off their shoes so she could verify their height. She once made a guy stand back-to-back with her so she could compare. The worst part is, she acts like it's empowering to have standards, Rachel says. But they're not standards. They're just shallow requirements that have nothing to do with compatibility. Well, she definitely made her standards clear to me. And you made yours clear right back. Respect. I finish my shopping and head home feeling weirdly validated. Like maybe I wasn't crazy for responding the way I did. Sunday night, Kelly calls me. So Jessica reached out, she says. Oh, great. What now? She wants to apologize. I almost dropped my phone. She what? Apparently her mom saw the video, tore her apart about it, told her she was being shallow and rude and needed to apologize. Her mom made her apologize? Yup. She sent me this long message about how she realizes she was wrong and wants to make things right. Wants your number so she can apologize directly. Absolutely not. I figured you'd say that. I'll tell her you're not interested in hearing from her. Thanks. Also, just so we're clear, I don't buy for a second that she's actually sorry. She's sorry she got caught and called out. There's a difference. Oh, for sure. But I had to ask. Monday at work becomes legendary status for me. People keep stopping by my desk to talk about the video. My boss even made a joke about it during our team meeting. Just remember, Jake, he says with a completely straight face. We have a strict policy against bringing drama from your personal life into the office. Unless it goes viral, then we want to hear all about it. The whole office cracks up. Even I have to laugh. Tuesday, I get a message from the girl who originally filmed the video. Her name is Amanda. Hey, I just wanted to check in and make sure you're doing okay with all this attention, she writes. I'm good, I reply. Thanks for sending me the video, by the way. Came in handy when people accused me of lying about what happened. No problem. Honestly, I felt bad for you. Jessica and her friends were being so mean, and you handled it really well. We end up chatting for a bit. She seems cool, apologizes for posting the video without asking me first, but says she was just so annoyed by Jessica's victim routine that she wanted to set the record straight. For what it's worth, Amanda says, 5 feet 11 inches is a great height. My boyfriend is 5 feet 10 inches, and I've never once cared. The whole height obsession thing is ridiculous. Appreciate that. Also, the weight comeback was savage but fair. She literally asked for it by making your height a public discussion topic. It's validating to hear from someone who was actually there and saw the whole thing firsthand. By Wednesday, the video has mostly run its course. Still getting occasional tags and shares, but the viral moment is fading. Jessica's still got her social media deleted. Kelly tells me she's apparently taking a break from dating to work on herself. Translation: she's embarrassed and hiding. Thursday: I match with someone on a dating app who messages me first. Just so you know, I don't care about height. I care about whether you're a decent human being. We end up talking for hours. She's a nurse, has a great sense of humor, and thinks the whole coffee shop incident was hilarious. We make plans to meet for lunch on Saturday. Real lunch, not coffee, at a place with actual food where water throwing is less likely. Friday, 2 weeks after the incident, I get my favorite update. Kelly texts me. Jessica's friends officially uninvited her from my wedding. Wait, what? Yeah. After everything that happened and seeing how she acted, the bridesmaids voted and decided they don't want that energy at the wedding. Jessica is furious, but the decision is final. That seems harsh. Brian and I agreed with them. We don't want someone who's going to cause drama or treat our other guests badly. Plus, after you told me what she did, I realized I never should have set you guys up. She's not who I thought she was. So not only did Jessica lose her social media presence and her reputation, she also lost a wedding invitation and apparently several friendships, all because she couldn't just be polite on a first date. It's now been 3 months since the coffee shop incident. Here's where everyone ended up. Jessica moved to a different city about 6 weeks after everything went down. Kelly heard through mutual friends that she couldn't handle running into people who'd seen the video, got a new job in Pittsburgh, deleted all her old social media, basically tried to start over with a clean slate. Last anyone heard, she's still single and apparently learned absolutely nothing because she's already got height requirements listed on her new dating profiles. The friend group completely fell apart. Amanda, the girl who filmed everything, is still cool with Kelly, but stopped talking to the other 2 friends who were at the coffee shop. They apparently kept defending Jessica's behavior, and Amanda got tired of the double standards. She actually reached out to me a few weeks ago to apologize again for how the whole thing went down. We grabbed coffee. Different coffee shop, obviously. And she's actually pretty cool. Not dating or anything, just became friends. 2 of Jessica's other friends reached out separately to apologize for the height measurement thing. One of them sent me a long message about how she'd never thought about how disrespectful that was until she saw it from an outside perspective. Said she'd been turning guys down for height for years, without considering how it felt from their side. The other one just said, "You were right, and I'm sorry we acted like that." Kelly and Brian got married 2 months ago. Jessica obviously wasn't there. The wedding was great. Open bar, good food. Nobody threw water on anyone. Brian's best man made a joke about it in his speech that got huge laughs. Something about how Brian was lucky Kelly didn't have height requirements, or he'd still be single. Kelly pretended to be annoyed, but she was laughing too. At the reception, 3 different women asked me to dance. One of them specifically said she'd seen the video and thought I handled it perfectly. We've been on 4 dates since then. Her name's Lauren. She's a nurse at the local hospital. And when I told her I was 5 feet 11 inches, she literally said, "Cool, you're taller than me." And that was the entire extent of the height discussion. Revolutionary. The coffee shop became a minor local landmark for a few weeks. People would go there hoping to witness drama. The barista who gave me the free coffee told me they had customers asking which table the incident happened at. They apparently considered putting up a plaque as a joke, but decided against it. My dating app matches tripled after the video went viral. Not even exaggerating. Suddenly being 5 feet 11 inches wasn't a deal breaker anymore. Got messages from women saying things like, "I never cared about height anyway," or "personality matters more than inches." Some of them definitely saw the video and were trying to prove they weren't like Jessica. I'll take it. Work became interesting for about 2 weeks. My boss printed out the video thumbnail and put it on the break room bulletin board with a caption that said, "Employee of the Month, Outstanding Performance in Conflict Resolution." HR made him take it down, but everyone got a good laugh out of it first. The video itself is still out there, floating around the internet. Pops up every few weeks when someone new discovers it and shares it to their page. Currently sitting at around 400,000 views across various platforms. I get tagged in it randomly by people I don't know. My notifications are permanently a mess. Got a message last month from some podcast that does relationship drama stories. They wanted me to come on and tell the whole story in detail. I declined. The story's out there, people can watch the video. I don't need to turn it into a whole media tour. My sister thinks I should write a book about dating double standards. I told her one viral video is enough fame for me. She said I'm wasting my platform. I said I just wanted to drink my coffee in peace and accidentally became internet famous for matching someone's energy. The best update, though, happened about a month ago. I was at the grocery store, and this guy approached me in the produce section. Mid-40s, wearing a wedding ring, looked completely normal. "You're the height guy, right?" he asked. I braced myself for either praise or criticism. "Yeah, that's me." "Dude, thank you. My daughter is 16 and she had all these dating requirements she got from social media. Must be over 6 feet, must have muscles, must have money. Your video made her realize how shallow that sounded. She actually apologized to me for being judgmental. That's a parenting win I didn't see coming. That was pretty cool, not gonna lie. My mom still brings it up at family dinners. Remember when Jake got famous for asking about weight? Usually followed by my dad high-fiving me and my sister rolling her eyes. Family dynamics are weird. Last week, I ran into one of the women from the coffee shop. Not Jessica, one of her friends who was there for the whole thing. She was with her boyfriend at a restaurant. She saw me, her face went pale, and she immediately looked away. Her boyfriend noticed and asked what was wrong. I just walked past their table to the bathroom. When I came back out, she'd apparently told him the story because he gave me a nod and a thumbs up. The coffee shop water stain is gone now. They cleaned the floor, but the table where it happened is still there. Sometimes when I'm in the area, I'll grab coffee there just because. Different barista usually, but the original one who applauded still works there on weekends. She gives me free refills. My apartment is the same. My job is the same. My car is the same. I'm still 5 feet 11 inches, and that hasn't changed. The only real difference is now I have a story that people ask about at parties, a girlfriend who doesn't care about arbitrary measurements, and the satisfaction of knowing that sometimes matching someone's energy is exactly the right move. Jessica's apparently telling people in Pittsburgh that she's starting fresh after a bad breakup. Not technically true since we were never together, but whatever helps her sleep at night. According to mutual friends, she's not mentioning the video to new people she meets. Can't blame her there. Kelly apologized to me again last week. Said she felt responsible for the whole mess because she set us up. I told her it's fine. I met Lauren at her wedding, so technically it worked out. She laughed and said maybe she's a better matchmaker than she thought. Brian thinks the whole thing is the best story ever. Keeps threatening to make a toast about it at every gathering. Kelly keeps stopping him. The guy who slow clapped in the coffee shop sent me a Facebook friend request 3 months later. His name's Dave, and he included a message. Still the best thing I've ever witnessed in public. Keep being awesome. We're not really friends, but I accepted it because why not? Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true. What you're about to hear is the story of a divorced dad named Phil, who had the most boring, normal custody arrangement in the world. 50-50. Week on, week off, totally civil. Then his ex started dating a guy who thought screaming at an 8-year-old in a driveway was acceptable parenting. Phil noticed his kids changing, going quiet, walking on eggshells, flinching at loud noises. So he did what any good dad would do. He bought a Ring camera, and what it caught over the next 2 months gave a family court judge everything she needed to make one of the fastest custody decisions I've ever heard of. Strap in. My ex's new boyfriend was screaming at my kids during drop-offs. I installed Ring cameras and got full custody in 2 months. I need to get this out because I've been holding it together for months, and I think if I don't write it down somewhere, I'm gonna lose it. Not in a dramatic way. Just in that quiet way where you realize you've been clenching your jaw for 6 weeks straight, and your dentist asks if everything's okay at home. So here's the deal. My name's Phil. I'm 34. I work as a fleet maintenance coordinator for a regional courier company outside of Columbus. Basically, I make sure delivery vans don't fall apart on the highway. I diagnose problems, order parts, schedule repairs, keep logs. It's not glamorous, but it pays decent, and I'm good at it. Been there 7 years. My ex-wife Lori and I split up about 3 years ago. No huge blowout, no affair, nothing like that. We just stopped working. You know that thing where you're sitting across from someone at dinner, and you both know there's nothing left to talk about, but neither of you wants to say it? That was us for about 1.5 years before we finally called it. I remember one Saturday we were both in the living room. She was on her phone, I was watching a game, and Caleb asked us to play a board game with him. We both said, in a minute, at the exact same time, without even looking at each other. And I just thought, man, this is it. This is what we've turned into. 2 people sharing a mortgage and a Wi-Fi password. We did the whole thing through a mediator. Kept it clean. Agreed on 50-50 custody of our 2 kids, Caleb, who's 8 now, and Nora, who just turned 6. I moved into a 3-bedroom rental about 10 minutes from Lori's place. Nothing fancy. Brown siding, small yard, detached garage. But it had a good kitchen and enough room for the kids to each have their own space, so it worked. And honestly, for the first 2 years, the arrangement worked fine. We lived about 12 minutes apart. I had the kids Sunday night through Thursday morning. She had them Thursday after school through Sunday evening. We switched off holidays. Communication was mostly through a co-parenting app. Short messages, pickup times, doctor appointments, report cards, businesslike but respectful. I never had a problem with Lori as a co-parent. She was solid. Then about 8 months ago, she started dating someone. I found out through Caleb, actually. He mentioned it casually one night during dinner. He said Mommy's friend Garrett was at the house a lot. and that Garrett had a loud truck. I didn't press him on it. Kids shouldn't feel like they're being interrogated about what happens at the other parent's house. That's a rule I've always kept. So I just said something like, "Oh, that's cool, buddy," and moved on. I'll be straight with you. I didn't care that Lori was dating. Honestly, I'd been seeing someone casually for a few months myself. Didn't work out, but that's a different story. Lori's personal life was none of my business, as long as it didn't affect the kids. And at first, it didn't seem to. But about 4 months in, things started shifting. It was small stuff at first. Caleb started getting quiet during drop-offs. Not upset quiet. More like careful quiet. Like he was picking his words. Nora started asking to stay at my house on days she was supposed to go to her mom's. She didn't throw a fit or anything. She'd just casually say, "Can I stay here tonight, Daddy?" in this real soft voice. And when I'd explain that tonight was Mommy's night, she'd nod and go get her bag without arguing. Which honestly bothered me more than if she'd cried. I started paying closer attention. When I'd buckle them into their car seats on Thursday mornings, or whenever Lori picked them up, I noticed Caleb would get stiff. His shoulders would go up near his ears. He used to wave goodbye out the window every single time. Now he'd just stare straight ahead. Nora would get real clingy right before I handed them off. She'd hug my leg and not let go until the last second. One time, she gripped my hand so tight in the driveway that I could feel her little fingernails through my work gloves. And there were other things too. Caleb stopped talking about what happened at Mom's house. Used to be he'd come back on Sunday nights full of stories. They went to the park, they watched a movie, Nora spilled juice on the couch, whatever. Kid stuff. Now he'd come home and go straight to his room and close the door. He's 8. 8-year-olds don't close doors unless something's wrong. Nora started carrying her stuffed elephant everywhere again, which she'd stopped doing like a year earlier. She'd clutch it in the car, at the dinner table, on the couch. Like a security blanket she'd outgrown but suddenly needed back. One night, this was maybe late October, Caleb was doing homework at the kitchen table, and I asked him how things were going at Mom's. Not in a leading way, just casual. And he said fine. But then after a few seconds he looked up and said, "Dad, does Garrett live with us now?" I told him I didn't know and asked why he was asking. He said, "Because he's always there and he gets mad a lot." I felt my stomach drop, but I kept my face normal. I asked what he meant by mad. He just shrugged and said, "Like loud mad." That was it. He went back to his homework, and I didn't push it. I spent the next 2 days going back and forth in my head about what to do. I thought about texting Lori directly. I thought about asking Caleb more questions. I thought about a dozen things. But here's the thing about being a divorced dad. You have to be careful. You say the wrong thing. You push too hard. You come off as jealous or controlling, and suddenly you're the problem. I'd seen it happen to guys at work. One wrong move and the whole narrative flips. So I did what I do at work when a truck keeps coming back with the same issue and nobody can figure out why. I documented. I started keeping a log. Dates. Observations. Things the kids said, word for word. Behaviors I noticed. I kept it in a notebook in my bedside drawer. Old school, no app, no cloud, just a composition notebook from the dollar store and a pen. My buddy Hank at work saw me writing in it during lunch one day and asked if I was starting a journal. I told him to mind his business and eat his turkey club. Around early November, I made a decision. I bought a Ring doorbell camera and a second Ring camera, one of the stick-up ones, and installed them at my house. One on the front door covering the porch and driveway. One on the garage angled toward the street. My thinking was simple. Drop-offs and pickups happened in my driveway. If something was going on, I wanted it on video. Now let me be clear. I wasn't trying to spy on Lori. I wasn't recording inside her house or tracking her car or anything like that. My cameras were on my property, pointed at my driveway and my front yard. Totally legal. I even mentioned it to Lori in the co-parenting app. Sent her a message that said, "Hey, just installed some security cameras at the house FYI. Been some package thefts in the neighborhood." She said, "Okay, thanks for the heads up." That was it. The first 2 weeks, nothing happened. Normal drop-offs. Lori would pull up, kids would get out, I'd wave, done. Or I'd walk them to her car, buckle them in, she'd drive off. Garrett wasn't there for any of those. Then came the Thursday before Thanksgiving. Lori pulled up to get the kids, but she wasn't driving. Garrett was. Big silver pickup truck, the kind that's way too clean to have ever hauled anything. Lori was in the passenger seat. I walked the kids out to the driveway with their bags, and that's when I saw Garrett get out of the truck. First time I'd seen him in person. Stocky guy. Maybe 5'10". Buzz cut. Wraparound sunglasses pushed up on his head, even though it was like 40 degrees out. He had that energy. You know the type. The guy who walks into a room and immediately needs everyone to know he's there. Stands too close. Talks too loud. Laughs at his own jokes. He didn't say anything to me. Didn't even look at me. Just stood by the truck with his arms crossed like he was bouncing at a club nobody wanted to get into. I loaded the kids' bags into the back seat and tried to read the room. Lori wouldn't make eye contact either. She was scrolling on her phone. Fine. Whatever. I don't need to be best friends with the guy. I'm not out here trying to set up a group chat. But then Caleb dropped his backpack getting into the truck. It hit the ground and a couple things spilled out. A folder, some crayons, his water bottle. Normal kid stuff. And before I could even bend down to help him pick it up, Garrett snapped. He yelled, yelled, right at Caleb. Something along the lines of, "Are you kidding me? Pick that up. You're always dropping stuff. What is wrong with you?" Right there in my driveway. Caleb froze. Just stood there with his eyes wide. Nora shrank back against the truck door. I straightened up and looked at Garrett. He looked back at me like he was daring me to say something. And I wanted to. Every single part of me wanted to get in his face and tell him that if he ever spoke to my son like that again, I would... But I didn't. I bent down, helped Caleb pick up his stuff, put my hand on his shoulder and said, "You're fine, buddy. It's just a backpack." Then I looked at Lori, who was sitting in the passenger seat, staring straight ahead, like she was trying to become invisible. She didn't say a word. I closed the truck door. They drove off. I walked inside, sat down on my couch, and replayed it in my head about 30 times. Then I checked the Ring app. Both cameras caught it. The driveway cam got the whole thing. Crystal clear audio, Garrett's face, Caleb freezing up, all of it. I saved the clip. Downloaded it to my laptop. Backed it up on a USB drive. And I wrote down every detail in my notebook. It was a Thursday. Wait, no. Wednesday. The day before Thanksgiving. I remember because the kids were supposed to be with Lori through the holiday weekend, and I spent Thanksgiving alone eating leftover pasta and watching old games on TV, thinking about whether my kids were okay. Hold on. For those listening, this is me jumping in, not Phil. I need you to sit with what just happened for a second. This dude, the boyfriend, just screamed at an 8-year-old over a dropped backpack. A backpack. Not a laptop, not a priceless vase, a backpack full of crayons. This is the kind of guy who peeks in a pickup truck commercial and thinks yelling at children makes him an alpha. He's basically a Dollar General version of every villain in a Lifetime movie. All bark, no brain, and zero self-awareness. And Lori just sat there like a mannequin at a JCPenney going out of business sale. But Phil? Phil's playing chess. Keep listening. After Thanksgiving, the drop-off schedule went back to normal. And I watched those Ring recordings like a hawk. December was quiet for the first couple weeks. Lori did most of the pickups herself. Garrett showed up twice but stayed in the truck both times and didn't interact with the kids at all. I noted every single one of those drop-offs in my notebook anyway. Dates, times, who was present, what happened, what didn't happen. Then December 19th. Lori pulled up with Garrett driving again. This time when Nora was walking to the truck, she tripped on the curb. You know how 6-year-olds are, they trip over air, and started crying. Not screaming, just that quiet whimper, where the lip pokes out. Garrett got out of the truck and told her to stop crying and get in. His exact words on the Ring audio were, "Knock it off and get in the truck. We don't have time for this." She's 6. I picked Nora up, wiped her face, told her she was okay, and carried her to the truck myself. Garrett was standing there with his jaw clenched. I put her in her seat, kissed her forehead, and said, "See you Sunday, sweet pea." Then I walked back inside without looking at him. Saved the clip. Downloaded it, backed it up, wrote it down. I wanted to call Lori that night. I really did. But I knew that if I confronted her about it directly, one of two things would happen. Either she'd get defensive and accuse me of overreacting, which would tip Garrett off that he was being watched. Or she'd agree with me privately, but nothing would change because she was clearly afraid to stand up to him. Neither of those outcomes helped my kids, so I kept my mouth shut and kept logging. I also started doing something I probably should have done earlier. I began taking screenshots of the ring clips with timestamps visible and emailing them to myself so I'd have a backup in my inbox with a date stamp that couldn't be disputed. I know that sounds overly cautious, but when you work in fleet maintenance, you learn pretty quick that the one time you don't log something is the one time you need the record. I wasn't going to make that mistake with my kids. Anyway, Christmas came and went. I had the kids Christmas morning per our agreement. Best morning of the year, like always. Caleb got this model truck kit he'd been asking about for months. One of those ones with like 200 tiny pieces that takes forever. And Nora got a set of those massive art markers she loves. The kind that bleed through paper onto whatever's underneath, which I found out the hard way when she colored on the kitchen table. We made pancakes, used way too much syrup. It was good. But that afternoon when I drove them to Lori's for the second half of Christmas, I could feel Caleb tense up in the back seat. He didn't say anything. He just got quiet. And when I walked them to the door, Garrett opened it, standing right there in the doorway like he owned the place. He didn't say Merry Christmas or thanks or hello. He just stepped aside and let the kids walk in. Caleb looked back at me once. Just once. And the look on that kid's face, I can't describe it. I don't want to. I drove home and sat in my truck in the garage for maybe 20 minutes. My buddy Hank texted me asking if I wanted to come over for leftover ham and a movie. I said maybe later. I didn't go. January 5th. Lori drops the kids off at my place after school. As Caleb's getting out of the car, I hear Garrett, who's in the passenger seat this time, say something to Caleb through the open window. The ring catches the audio. He said, "And next time, don't leave your shoes in the hallway or I'm throwing them in the trash." Over shoes. I didn't react. I took the kids inside, made dinner, spaghetti, Caleb's favorite, and after they went to bed, I sat at my kitchen table with my notebook and the ring footage from the last 2 months, and I made a decision. Enough. Pause for a second. I want to talk about what's happening inside Lori's head here because it matters. She's watching this guy bark at her children and doing nothing. And I know some of you are thinking she's just as bad. But real talk, I think she's stuck in that thing where you let someone slowly turn up the volume, and by the time it's deafening, you've convinced yourself it's normal. She's not evil. She's just lost the plot. The problem is her kids are paying the rent on her bad decisions, and Phil's the only one in this entire story who seems to remember that kids aren't props. They're people. Okay, back to it. The next Monday, I called a family law attorney. Guy named Russell Whitmore. Came recommended by a coworker whose brother went through a brutal custody fight a few years back. I sat down in his office during my lunch break and laid everything out. The notebook, the ring footage, the 4 separate incidents, the changes in the kids' behavior. Russell watched all 4 clips back to back without saying a word. I sat across from him in this leather chair that squeaked every time I moved and tried not to read his face. When the last clip ended, he took off his glasses, set them on the desk, and said, "How soon do you want to file?" I told him yesterday. He explained the process to me. In our state, you can file for an emergency modification of custody if you can demonstrate that the child's current living situation poses a risk to their physical or emotional well-being. He said there were 2 ways to approach it. You either go in with one dramatic incident and hope the judge takes it seriously, or you go in with a documented pattern that shows ongoing harm. He said the footage alone was strong, but the behavior log, the notebook, was what would really set us apart. 4 incidents across 2 months with dates, times, exact quotes, and corroborating video. That's not one bad day. That's a pattern. And patterns are what judges act on. He asked me a bunch of questions. How long had Garrett been around? Had the kids said anything specific? Had their school performance changed? Had I noticed any physical signs of abuse? I answered everything as honestly as I could. No, I hadn't seen bruises or marks. But the behavioral shifts were real and they were getting worse. Russell charged me a retainer that made my eyes water a little bit, but I signed the agreement without hesitating. Some things are worth every dollar. We filed the motion on January 21st. Now here's the part that surprised me. I expected Lori to fight it. I expected her to hire a lawyer, file a counter motion, paint me as an obsessive, controlling ex who was trying to use cameras to manipulate the situation. I braced for a war. What I got was a phone call. Lori called me the night after she was served. She was crying, not yelling, crying. And she said, I'll never forget this. She said, I know. That's it. I know. She told me that things with Garrett had gotten worse, that he'd been aggressive with the kids inside the house too, that Caleb had started wetting the bed again, something he hadn't done since he was 4, that Nora had been having nightmares. She said she'd been wanting to end things with Garrett for weeks, but that she was scared of him, not just for the kids, for herself. I sat there on the phone and I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to ask her why she didn't come to me sooner. Part of me wanted to yell, but a bigger part of me, the part that spent 7 years diagnosing problems and fixing them before they got worse, just said, we'll figure this out, but the kids have to come first. She agreed. She didn't fight the custody modification. Her lawyer and Russell worked out the terms. Lori would get supervised visitation on weekends. Not because she was a bad mom, but because as long as Garrett was in the picture, the court couldn't guarantee the kids' safety. She accepted that. I honestly think she was relieved. The court date was February 11th. I showed up in my best pair of khakis and a button-down I hadn't worn since my cousin's wedding. Russell had told me to look like the dependable, boring dad I am. His words. I didn't take offense. Lori was there. She looked exhausted. Not angry, not combative, just tired. Her lawyer sat next to her and didn't object to a single thing Russell presented. Russell played the ring footage for the judge. All 4 incidents. Back to back. He had them queued up on a laptop connected to a monitor that the judge could see from the bench. I watched the judge's face while she watched the footage, and I swear her expression didn't change once during the first 2 clips. Stone cold. But on the third one, the one where Garrett told Nora to knock it off after she tripped, her jaw tightened. Just barely. You'd miss it if you weren't looking. On the 4th clip, she closed her eyes for a second after it ended. Then she took her glasses off and set them on the bench. The courtroom was dead quiet. You could hear the ventilation humming. The judge, an older woman, very no-nonsense, the kind of person who's clearly seen every version of every custody dispute and doesn't have patience for games, looked directly at Lori and asked one question. Is this man still in contact with your children? Lori said no. She said she'd ended things with Garrett 2 weeks after being served. She said he'd moved out. Her voice was shaking, but she held it together. The judge looked at the footage timestamps, looked at my behavior log. Russell had submitted it as a supporting exhibit with a table of contents and date index. The man is thorough. And looked at the kids' school records, which showed a dip in Caleb's grades and 2 separate incidents where Nora had been sent to the nurse's office for stomach aches that had no medical explanation. Stress does that to kids. Their bodies carry what their words can't. The judge asked Lori's attorney if there was any objection to the modification. He said no. She asked if there was anything else either party wanted to add. Russell said no. Lori's attorney said no. That was it. She granted the modification. Full physical custody to me. Lori got every other weekend supervised visitation with a gradual step-up plan if she could demonstrate that Garrett was permanently out of the picture and the home environment was stable. I didn't celebrate. I didn't pump my fist or high-five Russell or do any of that. I just sat there and felt my shoulders drop for the first time in months. Like I'd been holding my breath since October, and somebody finally told me I could exhale. Russell shook my hand in the hallway outside the courtroom and said, "You did the right thing." I nodded. I think I said thank you. Honestly, I don't remember exactly because my brain was doing that thing where it goes kind of foggy after you've been running on adrenaline for hours, and it finally stops. I sat in my truck in the courthouse parking lot for a while before driving home. Called my mom. She cried. I almost did too, but I held it because I was in a public parking lot, and I don't know, that felt weird. She said she was proud of me and that my dad would have been too. He passed about 5 years ago. Heart attack. Random thing to bring up. But it hit me in that moment because he was the kind of dad who would have done exactly what I did. Quiet, steady, documented everything. He used to keep a logbook for his lawnmower maintenance. I think I got it from him. Okay, timeout. Can we talk about the real MVP of this story for a second? It's a Ring doorbell camera that costs like $50 on sale. Phil didn't hire a team of investigators. He didn't go full Taken. He bought the same gadget your neighbor uses to catch porch pirates stealing Amazon packages and turned it into a custody case exhibit. If Ring ever needs a commercial, forget the cute family waving at the mailman. Just use Phil's footage and the tagline, Ring, because some people shouldn't be around kids. I'd buy stock. Anyway, the story's not done yet. Final update. It's been about 2 months since the ruling. The kids are doing better. Not perfect, but better. Caleb's grades are coming back up. His teacher sent me an email last week saying he'd aced a science quiz on the water cycle, which I know sounds small, but 3 months ago this kid was barely turning in homework. He's starting to be a normal, loud, goofy 8-year-old again, making fart jokes, leaving Lego pieces everywhere for me to step on at 2 in the morning. He joined a flag football team last month, and honestly, he's terrible at it. But he runs around out there with this big, dumb grin on his face, and that's all I care about. I sit in my camping chair on the sideline every Saturday morning with a coffee and just watch him be a kid. That's it. That's the whole thing. Nora's sleeping through the night more often. She still has a rough night here and there, but the nightmares are less frequent, and she's back to being her chatty little self. She talks nonstop now, about everything. About what she ate for lunch, about what her friend Kennedy said at recess, about the squirrel she saw on the fence, about why purple is better than blue. I miss that. I miss the noise. She told me the other day that she wants to be a veterinarian or a race car driver. I told her she could be both. Lori and I are on decent terms. Not great. There's a lot that hasn't been said between us, and I don't know if it ever will be. But she shows up for her visits, she's engaged with the kids when she's there, and the supervisors have had 0 issues to report. I think losing primary custody was a wake-up call for her. I hope it was, for the kids' sake. As for Garrett, the boyfriend, I have no idea where he is and I don't care. What I know is that he's not around my children anymore. That's the only thing that matters. Lori mentioned once that he tried to contact her after everything went down and she blocked him. I didn't ask for details. Not my business. As long as he stays gone, we're good. Russell Whitmore, my attorney, was worth every penny. He told me after the hearing that judges see a lot of he said, she said in custody cases, and that having clear, time-stamped video evidence with audio was what made the difference. He also said the notebook, the handwritten behavior log, showed the court that I wasn't reacting emotionally to a single incident. I was tracking a pattern. He said that matters more than people realize. My coworker Hank asked me last week how everything turned out. I told him the short version. He nodded and said, "Good for you, man," and then asked if I wanted half his sandwich because his wife packed him 2 by accident. It was roast beef. I took it. I guess the thing I keep coming back to is this. Nobody was going to save my kids except me. Lori couldn't because she was trapped in a bad situation and couldn't see her way out. The school didn't know what was happening. The kids couldn't articulate it. It was on me. And I almost didn't do anything because I was afraid of rocking the boat. Afraid of being seen as the difficult ex. Afraid that if I pushed too hard, I'd lose what I already had. But here's what I learned. Documenting isn't overreacting. Installing cameras on your own property isn't paranoia. Writing things down in a dollar store notebook isn't being dramatic. Sometimes being the boring, methodical, systematic guy is exactly what your kids need you to be. I fix trucks for a living. I find the problem, I document it, I order the part, I schedule the repair. Turns out that same approach works when the thing that's broken is your custody agreement. I still have the notebook in my bedside drawer. I haven't written in it in weeks. That feels good. One thing I haven't totally figured out is how to talk to Caleb about all of it when he's older. He's 8. He knows things changed. He knows he lives with me full time now. He knows the visits with mom are different, but he doesn't know about the cameras or the court hearing or any of the behind-the-scenes stuff. Someday he's going to ask, and I don't know yet what I'm going to say. I've turned it over in my head 100 times, and I still don't have the words. Maybe by the time he asks, I will. Maybe I won't. Guess I'll figure that out when I get there. For now, my kids are safe. They're sleeping in their own beds down the hall from me. Caleb's nightlight is on. He still won't admit he uses it, but I can see it glowing under his door. And Nora's stuffed elephant is tucked under her arm like always. That's enough. That's everything. So yeah, that's my story. If you're a dad going through something similar, or a mom, doesn't matter, just document everything. Be patient. Be boring. Be the person your kids can count on even when they can't tell you what's wrong. The system is slow and frustrating, but it does work if you give it something to work with. Would I do it all again? Every single part. Without hesitation. Anyway, thanks for reading this. It felt good to finally write it all down somewhere other than a composition notebook. Did I handle this right? Would you have done anything differently? Hold on before we wrap up. I want to point something out that I think a lot of people will miss. Phil literally used the same skill set from his day job to save his kids. He finds problems, documents them, and schedules the fix. That's what he did here. Except the busted part wasn't a transmission, it was a custody order. This man treated the boyfriend like a check engine light that wouldn't turn off and filed the repair order with the court. If there's a Dad of the Year award somewhere, Phil doesn't need it. He's too busy making spaghetti and watching flag football. And honestly, that's better than any trophy. Look, Phil didn't do anything flashy. No confrontation, no viral moment, no screaming match in the driveway. He bought a camera, kept a notebook, and let the evidence speak for itself. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just be steady when everything around you is falling apart. If this story hit you in the chest, and I know it did, drop a comment and tell me what you would have done. Would you have confronted Garrett on the spot? Would you have called Lori first? Or would you have gone the Phil route and played the long game? Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.